What happens when a music legend sits down for what should be a friendly chat and instead faces an ambush that turns into one of the most shocking exits in daytime television history? In just 41 seconds, a single accusatory question would shatter the comfortable atmosphere and spark a confrontation so intense that security would be called to escort someone off the set. Cliff Richard walked onto the Loose Women set that afternoon with a warm smile, waving to the studio audience as they applauded his arrival. He was there to talk about his new album, his upcoming tour, and decades of entertaining fans around the world. The legendary singer settled into a seat on the famous panel desk, surrounded by the hosts Denise Welch, Janet Street, Porter, Colleen Nolan, and Kay Adams. Everything seemed perfectly normal. The lights were bright, the audience was excited, and Cliff looked relaxed and ready for what he thought would be a pleasant conversation. Denise Welch started things off in her usual style, leaning forward with a big grin. "Cliff, lovely to have you here. You look fantastic, I have to say." Cliff smiled back graciously. "Thank you, Denise. It's wonderful to be here with you all." The first few minutes rolled along smoothly. They talked about his career, his favorite songs to perform, and memories from his early days in the music industry. Cliff was charming and engaging, telling stories that had the audience laughing and clapping. "Tell us about your first number one," Colleen Nolan asked with genuine interest. Cliff's face lit up. "Oh, that was Living Doll, such a special moment. I remember hearing it on the radio for the first time and thinking, is that really me? It was like a dream." The audience applauded warmly. Janet Street, Porter asked him about his fitness routine next. "You look incredible, Cliff. What's your secret?" He laughed. "Well, I try to stay active. Tennis is my passion. I play as often as I can, and I think staying positive helps. Surrounding yourself with good people doing work you love, that keeps you young at heart." Kay Adams smiled. "You've had such an amazing career, decades of hits. What keeps you motivated?" "The fans," Cliff said without hesitation. "Honestly, it's the connection with people. When I'm on stage and I see people singing along, people who've been listening to my music for 40, 50 years, that's what it's all about. That's what keeps me going." Colleen Nolan brought up his charity work next, and Cliff spoke passionately about the causes close to his heart. "I've been very fortunate in my life, very blessed, and I think when you've been given so much, you have a responsibility to give back. Whether it's children's charities, health causes, whatever it might be, we all need to do our part." The conversation flowed naturally. Everyone was relaxed. The audience was engaged. It seemed like it was going to be a lovely interview, but then something shifted in the air. Denise Welch, who had been relatively quiet up to that point, shuffled some papers in front of her. The warmth drained from her face, replaced by something harder, more confrontational. She looked directly at Cliff with an intensity that made everyone uncomfortable. "Cliff," she began, her voice taking on a sharp edge, "I think we need to address the elephant in the room." Cliff's smile faltered slightly. "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" Denise didn't hesitate. "Your legal troubles from a few years back, the investigation. Don't you think you owe the public an explanation about all of that?" The studio fell silent. The audience stopped their chatter. The other panelists exchanged quick, uncertain glances. Cliff's face went pale, and he sat up straighter in his chair. "Denise, I was completely exonerated," Cliff said firmly, his voice steady despite the obvious shock. "There were no charges, nothing. I was cleared entirely." Denise waved her hand dismissively. "Yes, but where there's smoke, there's fire, isn't there? People still have questions." Kay Adams jumped in quickly, trying to redirect. "Denise, I'm not sure this is," but Denise cut her off. "No, Kay, these are things people want to know. We can't just ignore difficult topics because they make us uncomfortable." Cliff leaned forward, his composure beginning to crack. "This isn't about discomfort, Denise. This is about respect. I came here to talk about my music, my tour. I didn't come here to be ambushed about something that was thoroughly investigated and found to be completely without merit." Denise laughed mockingly. "Oh, come on, Cliff. You're a public figure. Surely you expected questions." "I expected professionalism," Cliff shot back, his voice rising. "I expected basic human decency. What I didn't expect was to be treated like a criminal when I've done absolutely nothing wrong." Janet Street Porter tried to interject. Perhaps we should move on to, but Denise talked over her. I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. The public has a right to know. Cliff's hands gripped the edge of the desk. The public does know. Everything was made public. I was investigated. My home was raided. My privacy was violated in the most horrific way, and then I was completely cleared. Do you understand what that means? It means I did nothing wrong. Denise leaned back with false innocence. I'm just asking questions, Cliff. No need to get so defensive. Defensive? Cliff's voice cracked with emotion. You ambush me on live television, dredge up the worst period of my life, a time when I was publicly humiliated despite being innocent, and you expect me not to be defensive? The audience was silent, some shocked, others uncomfortable. Colleen Nolan touched Cliff's arm. Cliff, we're sorry, this wasn't supposed to. But Denise interrupted with condescension. Oh, don't apologize for me, Colleen. I'm not sorry for doing my job. Cliff turned to Denise, fire in his eyes. Your job is to humiliate guests, to make wild insinuations about innocent people. Denise shrugged smugly. My job is to ask the tough questions that others won't. Tough questions? Cliff repeated incredulously. You're not asking tough questions. You're making accusations disguised as questions, and if you can't see that, you have no business sitting in that chair. Kay Adams tried to intervene. Let's all just take a breath here. Denise ignored her. I think you're overreacting, Cliff. I'm simply bringing up matters of public interest. Cliff's voice grew stronger. Or are you just interested in creating a spectacle because it seems like you care more about controversy than the truth? Denise's smile faded. That's not true, Cliff challenged her. You had plenty of things you could have asked me about my music, my influences, my projects, but you chose to bring up the most painful experience of my life. The audience murmured in agreement. Janet leaned forward. Cliff has a point, Denise. Denise turned on her. Not you too. Yes, me too. Janet said firmly. This was supposed to be a light entertainment show, not an interrogation. Cliff nodded at Janet before turning back to Denise. Do you have any idea what it was like? To have your world turned upside down, police raiding your home with helicopters broadcasting it live, your name dragged through the mud before anyone checked the facts. Denise shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Cliff continued, his voice thick with emotion. If you had the slightest understanding, you would never have asked like this. Colleen reached for his hand. We understand, Cliff. Do you? Cliff looked at them. Because no one who hasn't been through it can truly grasp the fear, the humiliation, the sense that everything you've built could be destroyed by lies. The studio was pin, drop quiet. Cliff softened, but the pain was clear. After months of scrutiny, I was cleared completely. No charges, nothing. You'd think that would end it, but people like you keep bringing it up, acting like there's doubt when there isn't. You're causing more damage, perpetuating the lie. Denise responded. I'm just reflecting what some people think. Cliff's voice rose. Some people thought the earth was flat. Just because some think it doesn't make it worth discussing when facts show otherwise. Kay nodded. He's right, Denise. Denise looked frustrated. So we're supposed to ignore controversial topics. Cliff stood abruptly. No, you're bringing up false accusations proven false, with a smug attitude like you're a crusading journalist when you're just being cruel. Denise stood too. How dare you call me cruel? I'm doing what any responsible broadcaster would. Responsible? Cliff echoed. Responsible would be respecting innocence, not treating a guest like a suspect. Janet interjected. Denise, maybe we should. Denise spun on her. Stay out of this, Janet. Cliff shook his head. This is unbelievable. In over 60 years, I've never been treated with such disrespect. Denise crossed her arms. The truth is you were investigated and cleared. Why ignore the cleared part? Cliff boomed. Your pretending investigation equals guilt. That's dangerous. You're destroying the presumption of innocence. The audience murmured, some supporting Cliff, others telling Denise to apologize. Denise raised her voice. You need to calm down, Cliff. Cliff's face reddened. Don't tell me to calm down. You ambushed me, dismissed my innocence, and now this audacity. Colleen stood. Denise, this has gone too far. Denise whirled. Now you're turning on me. Kay stood too. We're not, but this isn't okay. Denise flushed. I'm not apologizing for real journalism. Cliff laughed bitterly. Real journalism. This is a televised attack. Denise stepped closer. You can't handle being questioned, you're used to royalty treatment. The audience gasped and booed, Cliff's jaw clenched. I can handle questions, but not being treated like a criminal by someone spreading doubt about an innocent person. Denise mocked. Someone like me, what does that mean? Someone who cares more about drama than truth. Cliff cut in, someone who's forgotten integrity. Denise raged, how dare you question my integrity? Cliff fired back. I was cleared, yet you paint me as suspicious. I have nothing to hide. Denise shouted, you're ridiculous. I asked a simple question. It was loaded to make me look bad. Cliff shouted. Colleen moved between them. Stop, Denise pointed. He's yelling. Cliff's voice was hoarse. You started by ambushing me about a closed case where I was innocent. Denise persisted. People still have questions. Then they're wrong, Cliff said. You're complicit in the damage. Denise threw her hands up. I'm just asking questions. Cliff's voice broke. Questions can destroy lives. When they're designed to cast doubt on innocence, you're not a journalist. You're cruel. His eyes glistened, hands shaking. Kay moved closer. Cliff, we're sorry. Cliff wiped his eyes. I came in good faith. Instead, this trial for something I didn't do. Denise scoffed. You're overly dramatic. The audience rippled with anger, shouting for an apology. Cliff stared at her. You have no idea what it's like to be accused, reputation destroyed, then cleared. But the stain remains because people like you refresh it. Denise defended, I was doing my job. Cliff quieted intensely. Your job is to entertain and inform, not attack. Janet said, Denise, apologize. Denise spun, I'm not. The audience erupted in boos. Colleen's voice was stern, you've crossed a line. Denise looked around, seeing anger everywhere. For a moment, regret flickered but vanished. You're ridiculous. I haven't done anything wrong. Cliff exhaled, if you believe that, you're lost. He removed his microphone. Kay reached out. Cliff, don't go. I'm sorry to you, Janet and Colleen, but I cannot stay. Denise showed concern. Don't be so sensitive. Cliff faced her calmly, steel in his voice. I'm not sensitive. I'm self-respecting, something you wouldn't understand. He handed his mic to a producer. The audience stood, applauding Cliff, shouting at Denise. Cliff smiled sadly at them. Thank you. I'm sorry you witnessed this. He left to thunderous applause. Denise called, you can't walk off. Cliff turned, watch me. The camera stayed on the panel. Denise looked defiant but rattled. The others shell, shocked. Kay uncertainly, we'll take a quick break. Denise cut in, no, continue. Janet sharply, that was out of order. Colleen, you ambushed him. Denise slammed the desk, I was doing my job. Kay desperately, we need a break. Janet refused silence. What you did was wrong. Denise blazed, how? Legitimate questions. Colleen rose. You brought up settled pain without warning. That's cruelty. Denise stood. I refuse lectures. I wanted real conversation, not fluff. Kay shook her head. There's a difference between conversation and assassination. You crossed it. Denise shrilled. Ridiculous. It was in the news. Janet, years ago, he was innocent. You ignored that. Denise pointed at the exit. If nothing to hide, why storm off? Audience booed. Colleen, he left because you attacked him disrespectfully. Kay, you treated him like a suspect. Denise realized she was outnumbered. You're all against me. Janet tiredly, against what you did. Denise stubbornly, I stand by it. Colleen emotionally, it was cheap. You used his trauma for drama without regard. Denise paled but defiant, not fair. Kay quietly, what's not fair is betraying his trust. Audience buzzed, calling for Denise's removal or apology. Janet apologized to Cliff and viewers. Denise's mouth opened, closed. I'm not apologizing. Colleen, reconsider your job. Silence deafened. Denise saw disappointment everywhere. She might back down, but her jaw set. No, I asked needed questions. Kay closed eyes. Admit you were wrong. Denise wouldn't. I wasn't. Audience reacted loudly. Boos shouts, standing anger. Janet to camera. We need that break. Colleen, I agree. Denise protested, but Kay overrode, taking a break now. As cameras cut, the damage was done. A moment captured forever. Cliff standing with dignity against unjust attack, while Denise showed questions can create pain, and on that day, pain was all she managed to create.